I met a gypsy.
Was there a day, like even when you were younger, where there was like a bit of a light bulb, like maybe it was like a trick that you learned, or a day where you just like put together a bunch of like really, I guess, like big shit together at the skate park to where you've kind of solidified a self-belief in a way? Because there is a pretty intense level of self-belief that you have to achieve what you've achieved.
For sure. And I don't know if there was a single day or a single moment. If I look back at it, when I was 16, I learned flare whips, which, you know, that's pretty good at 16. And I think from there, it's like, oh shit, like I'm doing tricks that professionals are doing,
they're doing
at competitions.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I, if I go back to earlier than that, me and my friend were just at the skate park and we're like, oh, imagine if we learned a trick every day for the next, imagine how good we'll be when we're 20. And that sort of just stayed in my mind. And it was like, I stuck with it. My friend, got over it, but that sort of stuck in my mind. And yeah, when I started learning tricks that, pros were doing in competitions, it's like, if I keep going and I keep, staying dedicated to learning new tricks every day, then I can do this. And I enjoyed it so much, which made it easier. And when I was learning the tricks, and I'd do them every day, so I'd perfect them, and everything would start feeling easier over time. And that's sort of where it was. Like I started learning the bigger tricks when I was around 16, 17, and then a couple of years later, I could do it consistently. And it's let's go to an event and try to do it at an event.
Have you ever put much thought into why maybe you stuck with it when other people didn't?
I was never really a party guy. I think, my other mates were more into partying than I was. So, don't get me wrong, I would go to the parties and stuff with them throughout my schooling years. And, on the weekend I was looking for the next party and things like that. But I was always like, all right, I'm going to go to this party tonight, but I'm going to go ride tomorrow still. You know what I mean? I'm not going to let this party affect me tomorrow. I'm still going to go ride my bike. And I think I just had that in me. I just, I didn't really enjoy that, like the party lifestyle. So yeah, as I said, when I was 18, 19, I stopped drinking because I wanted to focus on BMX. Whereas, 16, 17, my other friends just sort of let the party life take over, and they were enjoying the party life more. So they'd miss the weekend sessions and then they'd come back throughout the week or something like that, And I think I just didn't let the party life interrupt where I wanted to go. And I just enjoyed riding my bike. So I, ended up giving up the party life and focusing on where I wanted to go.
Yeah, it is pretty gnarly, that age group, right? Like, and I mean, people can look at you as the Olympic Gold Medalist and multi-time world champ, and they can put that down to talent. And I think a lot of guys that, will get blind on the weekend, and then they're like, the next time they go to a skate park and then they see you just like murdering it, they're like, fuck dude, he's just so talented. Like, do you think that there is this special relationship between talent, or do you think that it's just talent is something that is earned, and it's something that comes as a result of sacrifice and time, and like that it is just this consistency and just this work ethic that kind of plays into it?
Yeah, I mean, there is somewhat a thing as natural talent,
which I definitely agree with. There are naturally talented people
for sure. And I like the quote, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah,
because from that quote, I could see, I had a bit of talent, and I knew if I could work hard, then I could be someone great. And I could see the talented, I could beat the talented guys. Some of the guys that didn't put as much work in, but were very talented. So I sort of stuck with that. But there is somewhat natural talent, but you can't be someone great if you don't put in the work either.
Yeah.
Talent will only get you so far. You definitely got to put in the hard work too.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that I was definitely in the category of people that, so like my brother, for instance, like we're 18 months apart, and he's always been more quote unquote talented than me. And then as I start to, look back at his life of riding a motorcycle, I mean, you just got to look at the hour meter on the bikes to see who rode more, and who wore out more parts and who wore out more more pairs of boots, and who put the fuel through the motorcycle. And it's like, damn, he's probably got like hundreds of hours worth of time on me. So it's like, where does talent factor in? And then in my own riding, it's like, you can see that when you do put time in, you get better.
For sure.
And I think that it's probably one of the things that, or like one of the messaging points that I really like talking about these days is like, there is this natural talent thing, but that quote that you just spoke of, that is kind of a real thing. And you can see, I guess, the way that you've invested in yourself and the way that you don't go party, because man, when you're a young kid going and drinking and doing the party thing and then giving up like days of your life to that lifestyle, it's like there isn't a lot of productive work that can get done towards your goal, like in that time,
Yeah, exactly. And I saw that early on as like, and if I look back at it now, I'm like, I'm glad I did party through those, through those schooling years, because I got it out of my system. I found out it wasn't really for me. And when I was 18, I stopped drinking, stopped going to parties, and just, focused on feeling good on the weekends and feeling good throughout the week to go and ride and just focus on BMX. And I think that's one of my sacrifices is I gave up partying. I gave up hanging out with my old mates, so I could go and ride, and hanging out with new mates, which would help progress my riding. And I mean, it does come with sacrifices too. You do have to sacrifice, but that's one of the things that I gave up, which essentially wasn't for me anyway. And it all worked out. I guess in my early on in my career, I was, and it wasn't really like this for BMX, but I wanted to treat it like a professional sport. I wanted to make sure I was eating good, make sure I was working out, make sure I was fit and healthy, so that I could, do good on my bike. And I took that early on, and I just kept doing that, and kept doing it every day. And that was sacrificing partying and hanging out with those mates.
It's hard though too, because you start to distance yourself from those guys, and then that comes with baggage, man. Like you got to deal with that. And it's funny, like I was talking to my housemate about this the other day. He used to be a bender dude, like he used to go party and he'd go on benders with the boys from where he grew up with, and then he actually went out with them the other night, and then they're like, oh, we'll get beers. Oh, you drinking, Joe? Oh, you probably don't want a beer. Like they, after years, they just knew that he wasn't gonna drink.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's the same for me. Like people know when I go out, they're like, hey, like Jace doesn't really drink.
Yeah.
So it's like, it takes quite a bit of work to get to that point where, like, I guess you got to go through a bit of shit with your old friends that trying to drag you back in, because whether they know it or not, I mean, I think that the mates that want to like, nah, mate, what are you doing? Just come and drink. Like, you'll be fine. There's kind of a little part of them that I think there's like a reflection on them as to like, oh, he's going and doing that, where it's sort of like they know it looks bad on them in a way. So they're kind of trying to drag you back. So, I mean, even though like you said the party life wasn't for you and it didn't make you feel good, like there is still a lot of external pressure that comes with trying to like ditch that lifestyle, especially when you're around it. Like BMX boys are wild boys,
for sure, 100%. And that was sort of when I started turning down parties, and my friends would start, he doesn't want to come out, he doesn't want to drink, or
aren't you for the boys, mate? You're not for the boys anymore.
Exactly. Or like I'd go out and I wouldn't drink, and then like I remember one of my, he didn't say it to me, he said it to someone else, and I heard about it. He goes, don't worry about him, he's a BMX nerd. It's like, yeah, I'll take that. I mean, I enjoy BMX. I don't like it. I didn't never let stuff like that get to me. So that was sort of as I was getting out of the partying scene. And then when I started traveling and going to events, like all the boys at the events would go out drinking the night before the event, and they'd, ride the contest hungover, and then they'd go out partying after the event, and like, oh, you coming out? I'm like, nah, like I don't drink. Like, I don't, that's not me. And then I would just stay in my hotel room, and I'd fly out the next day. And yeah, I mean, it got to the point where, even after the first year of competing, everyone stopped asking me to come out or stopped asking me to party, just because they knew that, you know, I was so strong-willed and I wasn't going to give in to the party life, because I had goals that I wanted to go after. And it just comes back down to doing that every day. I just, you know, I kept saying no to everyone that asked me to come out and party, and you won the event, are you going to come out and celebrate? It's like no, that's not me. I'm flying home tomorrow. I'll get home, have a couple of days rest, and I'll be back into it, you know, working for the next event. And yeah, it does come with that stuff. But, you know, after the few years of constantly saying no and not drinking, you know, your friends start to understand it. They start to, you know, see how well I was doing, and they stopped asking me to come out and party and drinking and stuff.
Yeah, and then exactly what you said, they see a gold medal around your neck and they're like, fuck, I guess he was right.
Yeah, exactly right. And it is good, because, you know, you've got people, you know, start talking shit about you, or start, you know, just making up stuff, and, you know, they just don't want to sort of be around that anymore, or they don't, you know, at the time they don't quite understand it. And then, yeah, when they see that stuff, when, you know, see that there was a reason why I was saying no to go and partying and things like that. I had things that I wanted to do, and now that they understand it, it's like, yeah, well, you should have understood it back then, but, you know, you live and you learn. But yeah, you're exactly right. They see that stuff now, and they understand why it all went the way it did.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform, or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.